All right, welcome back everybody to part two of our interview with Phil LeNoie. Phil, in your career, do you remember what type of accomplishments were you able to get done? Or
Like I said, probably the best I did in points anywhere was like maybe a sixth place finish. So
okay,
there were no season championships. But like I said, the one year we went to Bemidji with the Gremlin and we were able to win the Stampede out there. That was kind of fun.
so that was a highlight of your racing career.
Then there was one night we were in Superior racing the late model, and if the motor hadn't expired with a couple laps to go, we would have been sitting on the front row on Sunday afternoon racing for the Russ Larson Memorial Championship.
Mm-hmm. So close, but yet so far away.
Yes, it's like it's dangling there, but didn't quite get there.
So then, other than your invitational win at Bemidji, were you able to capture any feature wins anywhere?
There were a few here and there. I think we won one up in the Falls. We won some features in Grand Rapids with the Gremlin. But I don't believe I ever won a feature in hitting. Heat races, semi-features, but I don't think I ever got a checkered flag in hitting in the main.
Well, you know, it's never too late, Phil.
There you go.
Why did you eventually stop driving then?
A combination of reasons. By the time I was in my mid-30s, my family was growing, and they weren't too involved in racing, which, you know, I understand that completely. It was time to move on.
Okay. Who were some of the people then that helped you when you raced?
Early on, like I said, Palazari and I worked on things. Dave Aho and I worked together for a short period of time. George Kempton helped us build some of our first race cars, and he did a lot of the driving. Hauling us from track to track, and he put in a fair amount of time to get us going in the right direction. And like I said, Dave Aho's uncle Don Wright allowed us to use some of his equipment way in the early days. So that's kind of where I go. Ernie Broadham, of course, helped us with engines and advice, and Shaddy did some work with us over the years. So
okay,
you know,
Shaddy Holman.
Shaddy Holman, yes. Another Chrysler tie-in.
Yeah. What was the strangest thing you ever seen happen at a racetrack?
There was a night we were down in Proctor, and they had a specialty race going. They had a blind man's race where the person sitting in the passenger side of the car was supposed to tell a blindfolded driver where to go. And there was a point where one gentleman as the passenger, was pointing, hollering at the driver to go this way. They ended up in a ditch off the track. They had to pull the car out after. They didn't do that anymore after that. That was
pointing to a blindfolded guy.
It wasn't lost on us at the moment, that's for sure.
Okay. Other than driving, then, have you had any other racing-related involvement?
Well, I was involved with the Racing Association in the early years, and after the association got to track, I took 1 year as the president of the association in 1981. So I ran on the Saturday night program. I basically was the guy that ran the show, and then of course ran the meetings and took care of the other business.
So you get a whole other appreciation for what it's like to be on that side of the fence.
There were a lot of nights that the most peace and the most calm I had was when I was in my own race car racing. From the time I got there at 5 o'clock, there were things that had to be dealt with, and after the racing was over, invariably there was someone that felt they got shortchanged. It wasn't always the same people, but in almost every racing evening, somebody had a problem.
So you were president in 81, but you also drove that.
Yes.
So you had to juggle driving and being the president.
Yes.
That had to put a lot on your plate then.
Well, I had a partner. Like I said, Ziddich and I were working on the car. Bill Ziddich and I were working on the car together, so I had help. It wasn't just me.
Okay. Are you still involved in racing?
At this point, I'm mostly a spectator.
Oh, so you go and watch then?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you cheer for, or who do you like to watch when you're there?
Well, sadly, I like to watch the guys from my era. I hated to see Harry Hansen retire. I enjoyed watching the senior citizen being able to duke it out with the kids and succeed. And of course, my cousin's boys still race. I cheer for the relatives, Jeff and John Tardy.
Okay. So. How has racing changed, and what is your opinion of racing these days?
I think racing, there were more opportunities for surprises in the early days. That it wasn't so fixed and controlled. Some unique things could happen. And back then, you built your own stuff. You kind of garaged it, and it was yours. If you broke something, you'd have to replace it. Today, it's more, if the right term, a cookie cutter type of a situation where you can buy the chassis, you buy the power plants, you can buy a lot of the technology. It's not as personal as it was.
Mm-hmm. There were some unique things back in the day then.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Are there any people or sponsors that you'd like to thank for supporting you during your racing career?
Like I said, I raced with a good friend of mine, Mike Palazzari. We kind of chummed around together for a goodly period of time. George Kempton, as I mentioned. Of course, my wife put up with my bad habits, so I'd have to thank her at that point too. But we never really had a focal sponsor. After I stopped racing, I helped Ken Rabers with his things, and it allowed me to work on the car without putting a lot of money into it. Basically, just time, and that was fun.
You had Oil Tech Lab for a sponsor though for quite a few years.
Yes, Richard Marty sponsored the Gremlin, and he helped me out quite a bit too. Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything to say to anybody that might be watching this interview?
Like I said, I started racing because it was exciting and interesting to me. I enjoyed the time I spent doing it, and I was kind of sad to see it change. I think it's a little more cut and dried now than it used to be. I think it was a little more spontaneous. Mm-hmm. But it's still a fun thing to go and watch, and I get out when I can on Saturday nights. But my focus, sadly, has changed a little bit over the years.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Phil, I thank you for taking time out and coming in and doing this interview with us, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're certainly welcome.
Okay.
And hopefully everything I've remembered is accurate, but yeah, it's subject to faulty memory. So if I'm off base on some things, I'm sure somebody will straighten me up on that, and I look forward to that.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot, Phil, and
you're certainly welcome.
we'll see you at the track.
All righty. Have a good evening.